Welcome, everyone. So just give a few more seconds in case we have any more joiners, and then we'll get started. If anyone has any questions they want to write down, then please go for it. Okay, I shall begin. So welcome, everyone. This is the delivery team AMA, our first of the year. So thanks for joining us. So I'm going to kick things off for everyone who's here in that I'm interested to know if anyone has any questions or if there's any concerns or unknowns or anything about the changes we're currently making to staging. We have an issue there that's open. The idea behind making this change is that reordering the deployment pipeline will reduce risk for deployments because it will allow us to actually do better testing between the mixed versions. But in order to do that, it does mean that changes won't be on staging. They'll be going to our staging Canary instead, but they won't be on staging very much before going to production. So the risk from an automated sort of pipeline is lower. We improve our test coverage. However, what we're perhaps unsure of is whether there are things that people are going directly to staging for, or tools we're using that we will need to make sure we have supported on staging Canary. Stan, do you want to verbalize your comment, your question, in fact?
Yeah, I just wondered if there's a way to switch between the staging Canary and the staging, because I know for GitLab.com, we have next.gitlab.com, and you can toggle between the two. Is that something where are we going to be able to do that with the staging?
So it is cookie based. Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact way we'll control that cookie, but it is set off a cookie. Yes. So you will be able to determine which environment you'll go to. Yes.
Yeah, I have a reference to the issue where we're discussing this. So the implementation is in place. I'm not entirely sure if it's already handled by next.gitlab.com, but the same cookie can have a special key, which is GitLab_Canary. And if it's equal to false or true, we'll do the routing as well on the Canary stage.
It would have to be a separate next.gitlab. It would have to be like next.staging or whatever. But yeah, there is a plan to allow control over that.
Called next.next.
Next, yeah, staging.gitlab.com. That's a fun domain. There's also apparently, which I didn't realize, there's a hotkey in the product now to toggle Canary on and off, but there's a potential bug with that. I think I opened an issue. I'll link all this stuff in the document once I find it.
Awesome. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, great question, Stan. We should definitely make sure that we have the same capabilities so people can toggle. The main difference that people may unexpectedly experience is when code's on things. So probably that's going to be the biggest sort of shift in sort of understanding is code on staging isn't necessarily on staging. And then if you find a problem, you can block production. They'll be running pretty much in parallel. The staging is slightly ahead. And then because of that, we have a staging Canary environment, but we should make sure we have the capabilities of both. And just a small request actually before we go on, would people mind helping write the notes in the agenda so that we can try and keep up? So if people are speaking, please help. Thanks. Are there any other things around staging that people may know about that we should double check we have?
Just another question to that is that right now the little next icon appears on our Canary servers. Is that same thing or just work fine on the staging as well?
I don't know. Does anyone know much about Next? We may need
it's not just Next. You go to gitlab.com right now and you're on Canary. Next to the GitLab icon in the corner, you can see a little nice little. I can show it to you really briefly here.
I like the
so
favicon.
If I see this thing right here, you see that in the corner there? That's tells me it's Canary without.
Yeah, so I think the plan is to kind of surface that information both on the Next, and I think if you look at the toolbar on yours, it also shows a little Canary icon when you're on Canary. So yeah, making that information available is the plan.
Awesome. Robert, would you mind just double checking that if we already have an issue for any of these, or if there are things we need to consider adding?
Yep, I'll do.
Great, thank you. Great, okay. Any other staging questions, concerns, comments? No? Okay, great. Thanks for adding those in, Stan. So, Skavek, you have the next point.
Yeah, I was just curious about the what does delivery have looking forward into year 2022 that we're all excited about?
That is a great question. Who would like to kick things off? Shall I go first? So I've added a few in the end, at the very, very bottom of the 2021 year in review. So we're still sort of setting direction for the department and the team for the year, but the few things that I'm hoping we'll be focusing on is reducing the effort involved with patches and particularly backports, but also security releases, because they are pretty time intensive for all of us. So we are hopefully going to be able to make some good improvements. So actually, we know that customers do need things to be backported a bit further. We know we're getting more requests outside of our maintenance policy. So actually reducing the pain of us needing to be able to do that. And then continuing with Kubernetes. So most exciting one, I think, that we know we're going to be tackling is Redis, because we're already dealing with Redis, working with scalability there. Let Skavek share more of the highlights on Redis, but I'm excited to see that one progressing. And then I'm hoping that this year might be the year we get to continuous deployment. So we're not so far away. We've made great progress on rollbacks. We've got lots of other pieces in place. We still have a few things we need to finish off, particularly around visibility around deployment. So we're working on that a little bit at the moment, but we will need more metrics. And then I'm hoping we can actually get GitLab.com properly continuous deployment this year. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about the Redis stuff though, Skavek? Because I think that's going to be quite an interesting one through this year, because it's quite a big project.
Yeah, I could briefly chat. Redis will be one of our first stateful services that we migrate that GitLab.com will heavily depend on. We do have monitoring, which maintains state inside of Kubernetes, but Redis is going to be the primary one where GitLab.com has a dependency on something that maintains state inside of Kubernetes. I was just repeating myself there, my apologies. So we got some interesting fun items where we're trying to plan out the best way to accomplish this. Currently, we have an open PR for the Bitnami Helm chart that will enable us to have a desired migration path. Currently, the existing Helm chart does not have certain items that we kind of want to have in place that would enable us to make it easier for us. We would like to have the ability to migrate without bringing down a Redis cluster in any way, shape, or form. But instead, we kind of wire up our virtual machines and Kubernetes pods that run the Redis instances all together. And then we make the necessary application changes so they talk to Kubernetes Redis instances primarily. And then after some time has passed, we would then remove our virtual machines from participating in that Redis cluster. That is our current goal that we are testing for and that we are aiming towards. Obviously, we're still testing this, so it'll be a little bit of time to occur before we get a chance to execute this. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, certainly it's a huge one. Nice to sort of shift beyond stateless into this. So this is going to be the first of many new services, which is excellent. Has anyone else got any hopes or highlights that they'd like to share?
I do have a couple. It is not on the issue, but it is kind of on my wish list that I would like to deploy directly from master. instead of doing this little dance of creating auto-deploy branches and tagging from the latest bring commit, it would be really cool if we could just grab the last commit from master and just start our deploy process from there. So yeah, that it will be one. And another one is the one that we have been discussing for rollbacks about removing the blocking nature of post-deployment migrations, which we are already working towards that. But the end result of that is that we are basically making every package to be rollbackable, which is not a situation that we have right now. So that would be nice.
Yeah, that's a great one. Cool, great. Thanks for asking us, Scarback. Great question. Chris, would you like to verbalize? Is Chris on the call?
Hello.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Yeah. Thanks for doing these calls. Super helpful.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'd like to see some other CS folks on the call. So I had a question around, I have been working, it's probably close to 2 years now, on how do we succinctly do release training for the field. So there's a lot of features where you all have done a fantastic job of continuing to make such a great product. One of the things that I'm struggling with is, how do I help the field, like SAs, TAMs, PSCs, really hone in on those features that are really going to wow our customers, really help drive adoption, help make our products stickier? And I'm wondering if there's, any cycles, any appetite from this team to kind of help us with it. I think it is a group effort between engineering, product, marketing, and us. But I'd just love to hear some initial thoughts on, would you all be interested in partnering with us on that?
That's a super great question. And thanks for sharing that link. It's the first time I have seen it. So absolutely, we are very happy to, we're very keen to partner on things. Possibly we would be looking, or certainly including the blog post. So we kind of have two processes that come together at the sort of on the 22nd. So one is the product managers manage the creation of the blog post and figuring out like what should be in there. Did this feature make the release or not? Which ones to highlight? And we do the sort of gathering of the actual release. And then on the 22nd, we publish the packages. And then there is a blog post sort of person assigned who is publishing the blog post. So the process overall comes together with a bit of coordination. But it is certainly something we'll be looking at over this year on how we can actually improve on processes. So yeah, let me take a look through, and absolutely, we'd love to collaborate with you there.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like just even MVC would be just kind of packaging all of that stuff into one place, because there's the blog post and those are kind of all over the place. And there's the docs, then there's the marketing team makes videos. Yeah. Even just these calls, I'm like, I see a couple of essays, and we had a Tim earlier, I think he might have dropped, but it's like, hey, is everybody aware of all of the calls? Like this call, Anoop does a call. It's like, are we attending those? Because there is information available. It's GitLab. It's spread all over the place. So I thought even an initial pass would be captured. So I've done my best to try to like meet with Brian Glanz and meet with Anoop and meet with Farnoosh. And it's like, all right, hey, what are y'all doing? Thank you.
There's a lot to simplify for sure. Yeah. But yeah, let me take a look through your issue, and then yeah, absolutely. Let me reach out to you, Chris, and we'll figure out a plan.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for asking. Joe, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say congrats on 2021. The numbers, I really like the overview and the breakdown. For that mean time to production, what were the biggest improvements on decreasing this number? If it's maybe just like one or two things that kind of really stood out for the team.
Great question. Thank you so much. So would someone like to go back? I feel like I want to nominate you because you know what the biggest one was, right?
I don't like this nomination process that you're doing. One of the biggest contributions that I know of is that we've migrated things over to Kubernetes. It took a lot of time and effort for our deployment mechanism to reach out to every individual server that runs a deploy. So the fact that that is now handled inside of Kubernetes in a more synchronous manner has definitely made things a lot faster, but that is not the only contributor. So I now nominate Myra to go into further detail as to why things might be a little faster, because we just nominate people on a whim here.
Okay, I will try to link along. So I think we also modified the auto deploy schedule. Previously, we were creating like 2 auto deploy branches, one in EMEA and one in America, and now we create, I don't know, like 5 auto deploy branches, and then on every auto deploy branch creates a package that is deployed throughout our environment. So that also speed up. And also the fact that we are deploying now in APAC. We didn't do that before, and that it has been a huge help. So passing the ball along now.
I'll jump in if you want, because
okay.
I put a little
okay.
summary in the 21. So like those are definitely some of the real key things highlighted. I think generally maybe to cut to sort of like the bits that are pipeline related that maybe other customers would find useful. We did quite a lot of work to streamline the process, like the deployment pipeline this year. So we're using bridge jobs more extensively now, and the sort of on the most simplest way of the benefit that gives us is we're not having to wait so much between our jobs. So the pipeline has become smarter. So that was quite a big one for us, as well as say underlying Kubernetes means we can get the code out more quickly, and Kubernetes sort of really sort of made this. Well, I suppose we're now setting up so we can run more things in parallel. So reducing waiting on the pipeline, optimizing which environments, which tests we want to run. Those are things I think every pipeline can benefit from.
That's great to hear. Yeah, thank you for all that. The other thing too, sort of related, is do we have our pipeline public, or is that something that's behind the scenes on us deploying out to production?
So it's unfortunately behind the scenes, which is a shame.
Not exactly. I mean, the execution is behind the scene, but the code is public.
Yes.
So if you want to see how we are doing stuff, you can clone and use our code base, and then you have to run it in your own environment. If you want to see the execution of our own node, that's private, because they're internal information, things like that.
Makes sense.
But you can't see it's not super trivial to just see our pipeline, unfortunately.
Right.
Which is a shame, because I know people
there
are
a link on the coordinated pipeline. Yeah, no, just noting that I put a link on the coordinated pipeline configuration if anyone's curious about it.
Awesome, thanks, Tamara. Are there like specific questions that Joe or maybe anyone else from support sort of like gets around from customers around how we're doing deployments? Okay. Are there any other questions that people want to cover off today? No? Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming along. Thanks for all the questions, and hope you all have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye.